Okay, sure. Let's go ahead and check out some 1980s Lincoln Cent varieties because a number of these coins have had some serious green up arrows recently. Not necessarily for graded examples, but also some raw examples as well. It's getting progressively much more difficult to find some of these coins raw. Most specifically, you know, the coins like the 1983 Lincoln Cent double to die reverse that you see here. Now, without even focusing in or blowing up, you know, some of the design elements on the reverse of the coin. I mean, this coin is pretty distinguishable as the DDR, also known as the FS. Geez, what is it, 901 or something like that? But when you this is PCGS.com, by the way, we're in CoinFacts, but go ahead and check out just the incredible doubling that you see on the reverse of the coin. People are still finding these in general circulation. Now, of course, the proxy coin that we're kind of looking at here is a Mid-State 68 red through PCGS, but heck, if you're gonna take a look at the the variety, might as well take a look at the highest graded specimen. I mean, just look at E pluribus unum up close. This thing is all tied up with all sorts of goodness here. It's ridiculous. I have found one example of this variety over the years, and over the years, spanning a pretty good solid 25 plus years, coming up on 30 years here, in about a year and a half or so. But at the time, I was also living in Florida. All right, so for you folks there on the East Coast, this is a great coin to still look for that has a tremendous secondary market. There's a little bit of a close-up there of 1 cent. Of course, this is kind of like the power play move, so to speak, of this coin. And yeah, just a very breathtaking coin. When we go and look at the actual price guide values for graded examples, I mean, you got green up arrows going all the way across the board. Mid-State 66, all the way up to 68, where there's only been 4 examples graded in a 68. They have a price guide value of $8,500, but the one PCGS specimen that sold in 2017 before the market got ridiculous for $7,050, and then all these ones down here are NGC graded coins that have sold at auction, and you could tell just as impressive. Although NGC Mid-State 68 reds don't command nearly the market of PCGS coins, but it's also worth noting on this particular graph here where you see my mouse pointer that each coin sold back in 2008, 2009. There's a few of them. There's one, the most recent example, sold in 2012 for $6,900. But a lot of the middle grades that you see from 63 all the way up to 66, lots of up arrows here, even going back a little further than that, 62 plus and up. And then you have a few down red arrows for what I like to call kind of the least desirable grades in full red. I would imagine a full red 61 or 62 will probably have a few things that will detract from the actual eye appeal of the coin. But nonetheless, just a really beautiful, beautiful coin. Probably between this and I would say maybe the 84. The 84 double die obverse, and you guys know this is the doubled ear. Pretty hard to mistake the doubled ear 1984, but you can also see just a tremendous amount of green up arrows for kind of like that middle core group of grades from 62 plus all the way up to 67. All right. Yeah, we'll take a look at this real quick, and you guys will see, because people claim to find the doubled ear 1984. And yeah, there's literally a completely separated secondary earlobe that struck southwest of the primary. All right. Now, I'm talking like it's a repunch mint mark, and it's not. But yeah, this double die right here is pretty crazy looking. So this is the FS101. Of course, the coin that we're looking at here is the Mid-State 68 Plus red, which I would imagine would be worth a few thousand shekels. Yeah, 5,000 to be exact, per the PCJS price guide. 2 examples are known in that grade, but none have yet sold in public auction. Probably unlikely that we'll ever see them anytime soon, unless a specific variety collector or a registry set collector decides to dissolve their collection, and then we may very well see a 68 Plus come into the marketplace. But I would imagine it'd probably be around this price level. Take a look at the prices on 68s. See how much they've gone up just in the span of 2 years from March of 2019. There was an example that sold on Heritage Auctions for $1,380. But most recently, an example sold April of 2021 for $2,880. Which I would say right here represents kind of like the shooting star kind of market trends, where the price is just, man, catapulted out of nowhere. Was right around just over a year ago from where we're at today in 2022. So yeah, pretty crazy upward trends. So you can just see it. You can see the movement, you know, from 1380 to, you know, somewhere in the $1,900, $1,700 range in 2020, and then finally just another $1,000 increase for that particular coin in that grade. All right, so yeah, but I mean, you know, you have the 2 main anchor varieties for the 80s in the 83 DDR and then the 84 double ear or double die obverse. Oh, so exciting. We're also going to take a look at the one big sleeper variety that not a lot of people are really kind of has on their radar, that I think in time will gain a lot more appreciation and steam. Of course, we have our transitional reverse design 1980's. Always a very impactful series in itself. So you can see the wide AM FS901 is how they classify it, but you can see just the amount of up arrows here as well for full red specimens. So from Mid-State 60, which is a grade you seldom encounter, all the way up to 64, we see the prices reflected based off of current market activity and secondary market sales. You know, really pitch at a pretty nice level here. You can see the previous price at $450. If you just hover right over the green part, it'll actually give you whatever the previous price was. So a $50 bump there in a 64 red, and a $50 bump for a 64 plus. So, you know, as its name indicates, it's wide AM. It's also got the different FG initials on the back as well. So always a good one to look out for, but by no means is it kind of like the main feature coin of the 80s, you know. So the one that I wanted to kind of draw your attention to is 1987D. Believe it or not, it's a coin that most people are either unaware of or they just haven't actively pursued it. And it's actually a lot tougher than it looks at its face. The repunch mint marks all kind of ended in 1989 when things changed at the mint. They weren't punching the mint marks into the working dies at that point. They were actually added to the actual master hub. All right, where the master hub would be kind of like the father of brand new baby working dies. All right, so the working dies were the workhorse. The master hub had the master design on it. So up until 1989, the U.S. Mint was still tapping in manually by hand the mint marks. All right, so that's why we're still able to see things like RPMs going up into the late 80s. Now, this 1987 D that you see here, D over D RPM FS501, is hardly the only repunch mint mark for the 80s. There's actually a number of them, but this is the only recognized one in the Cherry Picker's Guide, and it's by far today, when we're looking at RPMs during the 80s, as lackluster as it sounds for the decade, is probably the most impactful, and it's worth a lot more money than some of the other more well-known RPMs from, say, the 1950s going into the 60s, you know, like the 60 D over D, you know, the major FS501, very nice spread on that RPM. This one right here far beats that, and if you're able to find one in what is classified here on this row as being full red, good luck with that. You know, you're going to have a coin that is quite valuable. No up arrows, no green up arrows here, but the big reason why is that there is scant few of them that have sold just, I would say, in the last 12 to 24 months. I've personally kept an eye out of this particular variety because it's quite scarce, and again, not a lot of people have this particular one on their radar when they're searching through coins. A lot of your big-time coin roll hunters and hunters of coins specifically or in general all come from the East Coast, but this one here is a Denver minted coin. Here on the West Coast where I live, even I confess that I don't actively pursue the FS501 for 1987. Oftentimes our 1980s coins are pretty trashed. A lot of zinc rot, you know, things like that, and sometimes the zinc rot will masquerade things like some of these RPMs where, you know, you might have, you know, split plating against the mint mark, which we'll see here momentarily. But this is one that, ladies and gentlemen, if you have the ability or the means to look for this coin, all right, I would certainly entertain it. Because in time, it's going to be a coin, once a few of these become found and, you know, they grade out 66 or 67, some of the more impactful grades, and then they get introduced into the marketplace, whether it's through, say, eBay or Great Collections or some of those sites, you're going to see possibly the prices on these jump even further because there's actual live supply of some of the higher graded examples out there. And collectors of a very, very deep series like the Lincoln Cents will recognize that, and they will kind of like go head to head and battle it out to own, you know, a mid-state 66 plus or a 67 or a 67 plus, or maybe even higher. You know, just for the regular 87Ds, you know, they have prices in the price guide all the way up to $22.50 for a 68 plus. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility to find the FS501 RPM in, say, a mid-state 68, you know, especially if you're looking through BU rolls or, you know, mid-sewn bags of this stuff, because there is probably more Denver mid-sewn bags than there are Philadelphia's, you know, just by reason of virtue of, you know, there's not a whole lot more to look out for in Denver minted coins, but this might change after this video. So the 87 D over D is, well, this is an a red-brown mid-state 65 version, and just by looking at the, you know, close-up of the mint mark, you could see some of the split plating. That's that dark, shadowy appearance on the bottom right-hand corner of the Denver mint mark. So it's really hard to see the actual RPM from this, even this close-up, but we're in luck. I was actually able to find one on eBay from a very established variety dealer, and I'm even more surprised that it's still available on eBay. But, you know, given the condition of the coin that we're going to look at here momentarily, it's understandable, all right, as to why it hasn't moved. But this is a red-brown example. This might be more along the lines of what you can expect to find in circulation, but when we go down to the price guide valuation area, there's so few of them that have ever been graded. I mean, there's 1 in 65, 2 in 64, and 1 in 63. The red browns, there's just not a whole lot of them. And again, that's more of a case of not as many people actually looking for this one. Now, when we look at full red examples, I believe we do have a few more here on tap that we could examine. I mean, check out this baby right here, Mint State 67 plus full red. Again, has that split plating, which will deceive some people into thinking that it is a repunch mint mark. It looks like a completely separate D southeast of the primary mint mark, but in reality, this one is, I believe, northwest. When you see the eBay photo, you guys will understand. Beautiful coin. And yeah, there's a little bit more of these graded at the highest levels. Even 1 in 67 plus at $1,000. Again, it's a coin that's never seen the light of day. But yeah, this is interesting. Look at 67. There's been 3 examples. PCGS has a price guide value of $650, but look at the 2 lone sales. All right, so we had one in 2019, November to be exact, sell on David Lawrence auctions for $600. All right, can you imagine picking that one up and then selling it a few years later in 2021 to the tune of $1,800, and that was on Heritage Auctions. So you can see that the prices, you know, are a little bit obsolete compared to what's listed here in PCGS price guide, but I don't think PCGS is going to be modifying the prices anytime soon because, again, that lack of supply in the marketplace, and in addition, nobody's selling them, right? Here in 66, there's 5 of them, but none have sold. Same goes for 65. You see that? There's 10. This is actually a bigger number than the previous 2. None have been reported sold, you know, in PCGS plastic by any auction site. 2 in 64 and 1 in 63. I mean, there's a total population of full red coins at around 20, and that's not a lot. But this is a coin that I think has a lot of legs in the variety community. Not to mention a few of the other ones. I think there's one like 86D RPM that's not listed as a FS designated cherry pickers guide variety, but those are coins that you could go on Dr. Weil's site or Wexler's site and find out more different RPMs, because I've seen full red examples of any other RPM aside from the 87D over D sell for like $50 to $100. It's pretty crazy, but that's again the scarcity of RPMs during the 80s. There just wasn't a lot of them, and I think there was probably at the most maybe 3 attributable RPMs for a specific date for Denver minted coins. So the one coin that I was actually able to find on eBay was actually sold by one of my favorite dealers. I call him Jim because I guess that's what his name is. Jim, M-A-C-R, sells a lot of varieties. So this is the 87D that you see here, being sold as an uncirculated red-brown, which probably would grade out that way if sent to PCGS. Is it worth it? I don't know. I really don't, but it's here available for $22.45. Again, when people are looking for this kind of coin, they're probably more looking in the realm of gem, full red specimens with the RPM. So here's RPM, and Jim actually does a really good job with the guide arrows showing everyone where the RPM is. Now, this is how subtle it is. This one graphic that you see here is probably going to be the most important image that you guys will need to pay attention to in the future if you decide to look for this. This not only has the shadowy kind of that split plating right here, because these are, of course, copper-coated zinc composition coins. So we're talking like razor paper thin plating that's really easy to fracture and split during the minting process. But you can also see the top extra loop of the D here. There's even going to also be a doubled serif at the top here, but you also see it down here as well. So a really fantastic picture. I'm glad that this one was on here. And by the way, yeah, this guy is the bomb. It has some of the most amazing varieties that you'll see. He sells a lot of them every week, and I chronicle a lot of his sales on the PCMR, the Pocket Change Market Report, and that's not going to change. He is a wealth of knowledge, and you know, does really well selling these RPMs, and you know, makes it a business, you know, along with a hobby. But yeah, that's you know, a few very highlighted 1980s varieties. You know, a very obscure kind of decade for sure of coinage, and you know, for variety hunting, it's very rich and lean, right? Like a, you know, piece of ground beef. But yeah, such an incredible decade. You know, a lot of these coins are still widely available in circulation today, especially all the varieties. And there are times where there's going to be a number of really nice, brilliant, uncirculated, full red examples. Not necessarily the varieties like you see here today, but, you know, just coins in general from the 70s and 80s that you can still find and change. They are quite common. They're very highly minted into the stratosphere, but also represents a great opportunity for some cherry picking and for some, you know, kind of casual coin roll hunting as well. So look out for these varieties. They're big and hot right now, even with a market that's kind of like wishy-washy as we head into the summer. Go ahead and look out for these. And hopefully you guys find, you know, one of your big chase coins from the 80s out of all places. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to today's video if you enjoy the content. Also keep in mind, I am also on TikTok, so go ahead and give me a follow on there as well. I'll have more content on there here in the coming weeks as we trudge on through the summertime. But that's going to go ahead and do it. You guys take care. Happy hunting, and I'll see you on the next coin video. So long.